let us move to what I think might be the most entertaining game of the week, just from a off-field subplot standpoint. Ole Miss going to Tuscaloosa. Of course, Lane kicks it off Sunday night by saying, I don't even know if Kevin Steele's actually calling the defense. It might be Travaris Robinson. And then it just snowballs from there. Like, you've got Pete Golding got run out of Alabama because they thought he was the problem on defense. Now he gets to come in and drop blitzes to try to get Jalen Milroe down. Like, this is so much fun. I have no idea what's going to happen.
It's headline after headline, and Lane Kiffin loves this stuff, and he tweets more about Alabama sometimes, it feels like, than Ole Miss. But and I know we've said it in the past, but this year this statement feels real. If it's going to happen for Lane Kiffin, I think it's going to be this year. I think that they are going to win this game outright. And I'm not saying that Alabama is a bad football team. I'm not saying that Ole Miss is entirely better than them. But what I do know for Alabama in a vacuum is they have a major problem with what's going on at quarterback, because Jalen Milroe wins the starting job, loses to Texas, had some really good plays and some god-awful plays. Then they tried out the other two guys against UCF. They mightily struggle. And now it's like, no, actually, Jalen Milroe's the guy. If you're that offense right now, if you're these players around him, around these guys, you're like, who's throwing me the ball? What's happening? What I do know is that Ole Miss has not only Jackson Dart, but they've got Spencer Sanders. They've got two guys that they know can play. And I'm not saying either one of those guys are just world-breaking great quarterbacks, but they're both proven as quarterbacks that they can get the job done. Alabama is going to be fine. I think Ole Miss finally gets the job done. I really do. I know it's in Tuscaloosa, and that's tough. But if Lane Kiffin's going to do it, this is the game he's going to do it, because I think Alabama's problems at quarterback run much deeper than just who's going to be the guy. I think this offense is confused about their identity until they know who that guy is.
Yeah, there's offensive line problems. Now, Nick has said Milroe's the guy. So
right.
The question is, do they really truly build the offense around Milroe this week?
Right.
It didn't feel like they had against Middle Tennessee or against Texas. It felt like that was the offense for any of those three guys. And if you truly build around Milroe and he becomes a real run threat, design quarterback runs, that's tough to stop, because he's a very good athlete. And he throws a good deep ball. He's not a running back playing quarterback. Like, he's got an arm. But I go back to last year, Casey. Lane warned everybody about Ole Miss and kind of fool's gold, that their schedule was very backloaded. He's like, don't jump on the bandwagon quite yet, because it gets tough. And they did kind of fall apart down the stretch.
Yeah.
But they played a 6-point game against Alabama.
The whole like fraudulent top 15, top 10 team situation happened a lot with them last year. It was like they just kept winning those games they were supposed to, and then obviously they ended up getting exposed. I think it's a bigger, again, I keep saying, like, a bigger question about this SEC West as a whole, Andy, because I know we just saw LSU kill Mississippi State, but that might not necessarily mean too much. Mississippi State might be the worst in that division. I don't know who the best team in the SEC West is, and this is the type of game where we're really going to see it. But when you look at David versus Goliath, and you look at Nick Saban versus Lane Kiffin, and how Lane Kiffin's career was resurrected because of Nick Saban, it's easy to say, well, of course Alabama's going to win. I don't think that right now I feel comfortable doing that, because I think the quarterback situation is so much worse at Alabama. I could eat my words. I could totally eat my words. But if you don't know who that guy is going to be, and you struggle the way that, and I know they're saying it's going to be Jalen Milroe, but we saw last week that wasn't necessarily the case. I think Ole Miss gets it done. I think they do. I think Lane gets his flowers.
This feels different with Alabama. It feels like there are real problems that need to be addressed.
People got so, we talked about this on Unnecessary Roughness. Like, after the Texas game, I said two things can be true. Texas can be really good, and they are. Quinn Ewers looked phenomenal in that game, and they deserve all the praise in the world. This Alabama team, despite having the recruiting numbers and grades that they have, does not look like a prototypical Alabama team. And it's not just because they have problems at quarterback. It's the guys around him are not able to say, hey, you can just manage the game, just get us the ball and we'll be fine. As of right now, this team doesn't look like a Nick Saban team. In November, are we going to be saying something different? Maybe. But this Alabama team has way bigger problems than just Ole Miss on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm also not seeing that first-round receiver that we got so used to seeing. Last year, they didn't have it either. But that is also a problem when you play, because a team like Ole Miss has good athletes in the secondary. Like, you're not going to be able to run past them very often. You might be able to trick them. You might be able to get them to bust a coverage. But you need a Jerry Jeudy or a Jalen Waddle to just physically dominate people like you're going to see throughout the SEC West. And yeah, I'm taking Ole Miss for sure to cover. Money line feels pretty good in this one too, but for sure to cover. If you're going to give me a whole touchdown, I need to see Alabama play offense effectively to believe, because I've seen it look really bad 2 consecutive weeks.
Really bad. And they also need the consistency, that offensive, that the room as a whole, because it seemed like there were a lot of guys, from reports and such that the offense was not happy that Jalen Milroe did not start against USF last week. So maybe that does, help them move forward now that he has said they know who their quarterback's going to be. But if he doesn't play well, how long does he get to not play well? Do they change it at halftime? Do they put somebody else in? I don't know. But I know that Ole Miss, this is the type of game that I think we look up and we're like, well, Lane Kiffin, he finally did it. He damn did the thing.
I just can't wait for the press conference. We've mashed up Lane Kiffin and Nick Saban on the show yesterday, and it was spectacular. I don't know if Lane's been doing research on how Nick acts in press conferences, or if he just by being around him absorbs some of this through osmosis. But it's truly amazing.
On this other thing that I hear floating around out there, I'm sure you've seen the same reports that I've seen, is Kevin Steele is the defensive coordinator. He has all the defensive coordinator responsibilities. The only thing that I didn't improve on from an administrative standpoint was game day administration of getting the signals in quicker. All right, so
they're the same person now.
I mean, I'm not the first person to float this idea out there. It's not an original thought, but I mean, isn't Lane kind of like auditioning for the Alabama job anyway? So maybe he's doing that a little bit.
There you go.
Again, that's definitely something that's been floated out into the ether plenty of times. But I mean, maybe this is just putting it on the
demo. Was getting the Alabama job. What? Now we're giving it to Lane. I'm so confused.
You never know. Although, we have some Alabama fans in the office here, and we told them they were crazy. They said they'd rather have Lane than Dabo, which I still think. I mean, Dabo's won some national titles recently, so but Alabama fans like Lane Kiffin a lot. I think they're going to hate him a little bit more after this weekend, because I do think that they win.
Thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder, subscribe to this channel right here so you never miss an episode of Andy Staples on 3. And oh, by the way, watch all the other great videos on the On3 Sports YouTube channel.